All right.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking a second ago about,
Yeah.
oh, hold on, I gotta get my cute little reindeer ears on. Look how cute they are.
Those are so cute.
I got them at
Ah,
Walgreens 3 years ago.
really?
Yeah, oh, I love them so much.
That's cute.
Um, but I was just thinking about it because
Uh-huh.
I was playing Christmas music a second ago.
Yeah.
And do you remember, or like, okay, here's a question. When you
Mhm.
think about our childhood Christmas time, what music do you think of?
I think of Rosie O'Donnell
Yeah. Rosie
and
O'Donnell's Christmas CD.
yeah, and I think of like Leanne Rhymes. Doesn't she have like an album or something? Or
Yeah, it was
like there's like
Leanne
a
Rimes.
Christmas, there's
We
like a
had
country Christmas.
we had Mariah Carey as well.
Yeah,
And then we had Rosie O'Donnell, which is like the weirdest like mixture. And
I know.
then I remember like going to school, and the first time I've ever cried during a Christmas song was Christmas Shoes.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that song.
Yeah, and oh, it like I listened to it the other day. I started bawling. I mean, I'm almost on my period. Like, sorry, people who listen, but like I was just bawling. So I was like,
Yeah,
it's
that
so
one touches, especially now that you're a mom. I'm sure that one
oh,
touches
it's
people differently.
so different. But I mean, I used to cry as a kid too. But
Yeah.
like the first time I heard it really more than anything. But I listened to it for the first time in years the other day, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was a very emotional song.
Hmm.
That one and Mary, Did You Know?
Oh, that's such a good song.
That is a
It
good song.
gets you right in the heart.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Uh,
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Oh my gosh. I don't know who's gonna actually listen to us on Christmas Day. So you might actually listen to this like a few days after,
Probably. I hope you
because
do because murdering ghosts.
yeah. Unless you're really bored on Christmas and you're just like, I need something to fill the silence other than Christmas music. And this is what you choose? Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it does for you what you need it to do.
Right, right, exactly. But yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy
Yes.
Hanukkah to our Jewish listeners. That ends tomorrow. So there's that.
Hmm.
Do you have any New Year's plans, April?
Um, word on the street is Josh is hosting a poker night for
Oh
the
yeah.
guys, and then I'm having the girls over, I think.
Oh,
Like
cool.
the girls are gonna do something and the guys are gonna be playing poker. Yeah, so that's all I've got going. And hopefully you have the same plans I do. But
Yeah, we'll see. I don't have any plans at all.
well, if it goes to plan as from what I'm hearing, then you will have plans.
Okay,
Okay.
cool. That's
So
cool.
just keep
Okay.
it in the back of your mind that that's a possibility, but it's also one of those things where it could fall apart in a second.
Mm. Yeah, may or may not happen.
Hmm.
Well, sledding was so much fun.
Um, I hope you liked my reels because I had so much fun
Yeah,
putting them together.
those are
I
cute. And I like the music that you chose.
I thought it was fitting and like, but it sucks because mom can't see it because she doesn't have Instagram, and like I
Mm.
can't share it with her for some reason.
Yeah, what's up with her in social media? She's like, doesn't have an Instagram, doesn't have a TikTok. It's like, Mom, how are we going to communicate with
I
you?
know no one uses Facebook anymore.
Or
You
texting.
dinosaur. Just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
But
No,
because
but
I did save it to my phone,
uh-huh.
but like it won't save with the music.
Oh,
So maybe I'll like try to put it together for her and put on Facebook instead of anyway.
yeah, there's got
But
to be a way to do that
it
somehow.
was so fun. I do love that our parents are willing to go down the hill at least once.
Mm-hmm.
Like mom and dad went down the
Mm-hmm.
like on the sleds, and I was scared dad was gonna break, but
Yeah.
I thought it's fun that they're so willing to like do stuff like that.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
like,
that
well,
was
this
cool.
might hurt and I might regret it,
Yeah,
but at
let's
least
do
we're
it.
making memories. It really makes me want to go out and buy like a bunch of sleds and just like pray for snow because like my kids had the funnest time.
My kids were so sad we were leaving, and we had already
Yeah,
been
mine
out there
too.
for like 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, we're done. Everyone's
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
yeah.
Merry Christmas. I
Yeah.
hope your belly's full of ham and potatoes and other Christmas treats. Do you people eat their gingerbread houses? I don't know, but now's the time.
Yeah. I eat mine like as soon as it's made. I don't let it sit.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never made a gingerbread house and ate it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I have. We usually like make it and then like we're like, oh, look how awesome, take pictures and then instantly like pulling off of
Start
it.
start eating stuff from it.
Yeah. And then
That's
it
fun.
stays out for a couple days and we just like break off a piece and like, yeah, you dunk that in milk. It's delicious.
Huh. Well,
Yeah.
a snack that lasts. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody might be listening to this and being like, that's not, you shouldn't do that. Like, it's not good to eat. Oh, well.
Hey,
Eh.
if you haven't died from it, don't change what's not broke, you know?
Exactly. Yep. Let's keep my wheels greased. So, well, welcome to episode 35. We have quite the episode today. We're gonna switch things up on you guys just for funsies.
You
And
never saw it coming. We're actually not hosting this episode. Someone else. Just kidding.
Santa is.
Santa.
Could you
Santa is
imagine?
here to share a true crime story.
All
Anyways.
right. Well, let's
Oh yeah, what's changing this episode, Katie? I derailed
oh
that announcement.
we didn't even tell people. Wow.
It's actually
Okay.
Santa.
Okay. I am gonna go first.
Whoa.
I'm gonna tell my story first this time, you guys, just to see how it feels. Get the
Yeah.
vibe
We'll
for fun.
see how it goes. Don't mess it
Yeah.
up. Going
I'm a
first
little
is a
nervous.
going first is a privilege.
Is it?
No, it sucks.
I was just gonna say, like, if you want, you can do it.
No, I was just saying, you better not
Uh
screw it up or you can't do it again.
oh, Just kidding.
You're like, how bad do I want to do?
Yeah, like how can I screw this up? Okay, well, let me get my notes out. I guess that's the first step.
I gotta tell you something really quick.
Okay, I gotta tell you something too.
Okay.
Okay.
In my neighborhood, there is a Christmas blow up decor slasher running amok.
Are you serious?
It's so awful.
I mean, that's like really awful, but like, wow.
It's like on brand for our true crime, but
A
oh,
slasher, an
yeah,
inflatable slasher.
inflatable slasher.
All
Ugh.
right, well, let's start this episode.
Okay.
All right. So, my story this time involves true crime and ghosts. It's both.
Whoa.
I know.
Let's hear it.
Okay. I'm covering Liberty Park.
Oh my gosh, all the crimes there.
Yeah. Have you heard about Liberty Park being haunted though?
No.
Yeah, me either until like a month ago, like around Halloween time, like when all the spooky stories were
Uh-huh.
circulating. I saw that Liberty Park showed up in somebody's like on Facebook or something, and I'm like, no way.
That's
And then
cool.
while researching it, I also came across a couple like true crime stories that I'm like, well, I can't go without mentioning these. So,
I'm
yeah.
excited. I bet it's freaking nuts.
Yeah. Okay. So let's first talk about the history. So Liberty Park is located in Salt Lake City, Utah. Also, pause. Have your Facebook Messenger open because I'm gonna be sending you pictures eventually.
Okay.
Okay, so uh it's in Salt Lake City, Utah, and it's one of the oldest and it's the second largest park in Salt Lake City. Way back in 1850s, back in the 1850s, the Liberty Park area used to be a grist mill and a farm. Um, it was known as the Isaac Chase Mill, and it's still standing today. It's located on the southern end of the park next to the Tracy Aviary. The Isaac Chase Mill was built by a guy named Isaac Chase in 1852, right?
Okay.
He was one of the pioneers who made the trek west in 1847. Um, when he arrived in the valley, he built one of the first grist mills, and now it's the oldest commercial building still standing in Utah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I'll add that the mill was designed by a guy named William Weeks, but it was built by Isaac Chase.
Oh, okay.
Um, Back in 1856, there was a famine, and the Chase Mill and farm gained like brownie points for giving free flour away to people that needed it
Oh,
um, because of the famine. I'm going to send you a picture of what it looks like just so you can have a visual.
oh, nice. Kind of looks like a church.
Yeah, kind of. Like it has like that like pointy
That
top.
shape. Yeah, the shape looks like a church to me.
One more.
Though it does kind of remind me of the Lehigh Mill that's just down the street.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit. Not exactly, but yeah, the shape of it looks like a church. Like it's just missing the cross at the top.
You'll notice that on the side, on one of the pictures on the side of the building, it has the initials BY on it.
Brigham Young.
And that's, yep, that stands for Brigham Young. In 1859, Brigham Young purchased the farm from Isaac Chase. After Brigham Young purchased the farm, he had various trees planted around the acre, or the around the acre. He had various trees planted around the 110
Acre
acre
Woods.
farm. Yeah, the 100 acre woods. um, they planted like trees like cottonwood trees and mulberry trees, things like that.
So it
When
became the 100 acre wood.
Yes, it became exactly. When Brigham Young died, it was revealed that in his will, he wanted the land to be sold to the city at the lowest price so that it could be turned into a park that everyone could come and enjoy. And I read that Brigham Young was trying to make like his whole vision for the park was like to mimic New York Central Park. You know, like where there's like trails to walk and like trees
Okay.
everywhere, shady
Yeah.
trees and stuff like that. Like that was his vision.
Okay.
So he sold it to the city in hopes that it could be used for that.
Okay.
Um, on April 20th of 1881, Salt Lake City purchased the property, which included the Isaac Chase Mill, and opened the land to the public for leisure and relaxation.
Hmm.
Also in 1881, a guy named Joseph Don Carlos Young, who happened to be Utah's first academically trained architect, as well as one of Brigham Young's sons, entered into a competition for the park's landscape design,
Hmm.
and he won. So
So
not
he
only
did
did
appear to
they,
be as well.
it did appear exactly. It appeared that way. Um, Not only did they use his design, but he also won $100. So
Nice.
I didn't do the calculation of what that would be today, but it was probably like a thousand
$200.
bucks, 200. I don't know.
Rolling
Yeah.
in the dough
hmm Um, if he wasn't rich already, so if you're like a descendant of Brigham Young, don't you think that there's like money hidden in
everywhere.
those pockets?
They're
Yeah.
just swimming in it.
Yeah, I would think so.
They just have like, what's the Scrooge McDuck? How he has a whole room full of coins and money and they just swim in it.
I haven't seen that in forever, but like I see that in my head. I know
Yeah,
what you're
like
saying.
Huey, Dewey, and
Like that.
Louie.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what he would be. That would be Brigham Young and his wealth. So By the 1920s, the park was well established with shade trees, flowers, a lake, playgrounds, tennis courts, and even a zoo. The
Wow.
zoo, the zoo eventually moved to its current location and became the Hogle Zoo in 1931.
Cool. I didn't know it used to be at Liberty Park. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
right? While the zoo was at Liberty Park, the Tracy Aviary was built, which is still there and operating.
Hmm.
The aviary is located on about eight acres of land within the park. And it's been open to the public since 1938. And over time, it's collected around 135 different species of birds. And many of those different species of birds are part of a program of or at the aviary called Species Survival Plan, which is a breeding program for certain species with low populations. That's
Nice.
all if I understood the website correctly.
Well,
So,
if you're making
yeah,
it up, we wouldn't know.
exactly, unless you look it up yourself.
Right.
It's now considered the largest and oldest freestanding aviary in the United States.
Really? That's
Yeah.
cool.
Have you ever been to the Tracy Aviary?
Mm-mm.
Never. Have you ever seen it? Like, do you know what it even is or looks like?
Nope.
Me either, actually.
Never been, never seen. Don't
Me
know if
either.
it's real, so you could just be making it up.
Like, I really think I've only even heard about it like on the radio, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Like, come
And
by
when
the
I
Tracy Aviary for a free donut or something. I don't know.
yeah, right, but every time you say aviary, I think it's like I think of the aviator glasses,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm like, is it planes?
It's not planes,
No,
it's
it's birds.
birds.
But I know, but my thought always goes to
I see. I see.
planes.
Well, I have information for anybody who's wanting to go check it out because it actually seems pretty dope.
Do they have
Um,
penguins?
no penguins. Actually, I don't know. I don't know. Probably not. But at this time of year, maybe the penguins from the zoo go there during this time of year to be taken care of. And for breeding, I'm making this up. I don't know.
I don't even know if we don't have penguins.
Yes, we do. For sure. Because they
Where?
just barely updated it. Like, remember by the polar bears? Like, you walk past, it's right before the grizzly bear.
That's where the otters are.
On the left, on
The
the
left
right.
the the left of the polar bears. Like in between the polar bears and the grizzly bears.
Yeah,
Otters.
sure. But before you even get to the polar bears, and you're like,
Those are
gonna
sea
go,
lions.
and penguins, I think.
No,
I swear we have
I
penguins.
will bet
Hold on.
money.
I'm looking this up right now.
I bet you $5. I will literally send you $5 right now if we have penguins.
Hold on. The Penguin Cove, Hogle Zoo. Hold on. This is Wikipedia, so I don't know if it's correct. Let me go to a
Go to the Hogle Zoo website.
the Hogle Zoo website. You're right. That's the best way to get the information.
Yeah. So the Rocky Shores have eagles, grizzly bears, seals, polar bears, otters, sea lion. No penguins.
You know what though? They used to. They at least used to since at least the last time I was there. I can send you pictures that I'm finding. Hold on. I want to make sure they're
I've been
actually
there a
real.
lot in the last couple years, and I've not seen.
It really says on Wikipedia, it says the Penguin Cove, Hogle Zoo had 14 penguins. Hardy, Gia, Puff, Rocky, Bluebird, Blackbird, Whitebird, Greenbird, Newton, Dancer, Scrappy, and Sooty, Flap, and Shaker.
So many cute names for penguins.
And it used to be in they've moved around. It used to be in the Elephant Encounter, then the Asian Highlands, and then the Rocky Shores and the African Savannah. No.
They also don't have a hippo.
Really?
Yeah, they have Rhinos.
That is so crazy. I wonder like what allows them to have certain animals or like why they don't have certain ones, you know?
I don't know. I wonder if it's because of our hot summers.
Mm, maybe. Yeah, that would make sense.
Anyway,
Okay, well
no
anyway,
penguins.
no penguins. So, if anyone's interested in checking it out, I highly suggest visiting their website and clicking on the events tab and see you can see what's coming up. Right now during the holiday season, they have a Christmas light display. They call
Hmm.
it the Light Walk event, and it goes until January 1st.
Oh, cute.
Um, yeah, and then throughout the year they hold classes and events and even host field trips. And I saw on their website they do summer camps for kids. And there's one class that I looked at that looked kind of interesting and looks like they do it often, like every couple of weeks. And it's called Wine Takes Flight. And it's a 1.5 hour long class. And on their website, it says, join us each month for a fun evening of wine education hosted by Jim Santen, how do you say his name? Jim Santangelo. Santangelo?
Sure.
San, sure, okay. He's the owner and the sommelier of the Wine Academy of Utah,
Oh,
and is brought to you in partnership with the Eat Drink Salt Lake City.
that would be kind of fun to do.
Yeah, don't you think?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I think if anybody wants to try that, you should, and then let us know, or we'll try it and let you know.
Yeah. How much is it? Does it say?
Oh, I didn't even look. You can like click on there's like buy tickets now, but I didn't click on it.
You're like, I'm
So
not buying tickets.
I didn't even think to. I was just
Like
like, I'm just looking up information.
it is Christmas time. There is no buying tickets for anything right now.
Right, exactly. So now Liberty Park is listed on the National Register of Historic Places and it's still standing. And it's still standing. Sorry, I read that weird. National. So Liberty Park is listed on the National Register of Historic Places, and still standing are the Isaac Chase Mill as well as the Tracy Aviary, and they are also listed on the National Register of Historic Places.
Sweet.
So the park today has playgrounds, picnic areas, restrooms, large grassy areas with shade trees and shrubs. It also has horseshoe pits, basketball, volleyball, tennis, bocce ball courts. It has a 1.5 mile wood chip jogging path and a 1.4 mile paved jogging path. Oh my gosh. And every Sunday, during the spring, summer, and fall, large groups gather around the park for drum circles that last all day.
Oh, I love drums. I love
Yeah.
the
Like the
drum
jam
line,
sessions.
like drum
Yeah.
line in freaking high school. Literally, I could spend all day listening to that and like watching
Mhm.
it because I'm so intrigued by it.
How they can move it so fast. Like move
One,
the
I
sticks.
have zero rhythm, so it is magical to me. Also, like the fact that they can just make it sound like it makes your heart pump more. I
Yeah.
felt like, like you can
Yeah.
feel it in your chest when they're like drumming and it's just like
Uh-huh.
super loud. Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Drums,
Drums.
drums.
Well, they do it every Sunday, so I guess we'll see April there.
And
And
I'm
just being
just
like, drums!
I'm just like, yeah.
Like animal.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, people just come to these drum circles and they bring their musical instruments, their pets, and they just jam together in the park and make music and dance. So if you're interested in that, during the summer, they also turn on a water fountain that kids can play in. So kind of like a
Hmm.
splash pad type deal.
Oh, cool.
Sadly, a lot of the park's trees were destroyed by a windstorm in 2020 because 2020 ruined everything,
Everything. Yeah.
literally everything. And yeah, so now that we have a good picture of what the park used to be and what it is now, not only did I did like I said, not only did I do a paranormal story, but I also stumbled across a couple true crime stories at this location. So, do you remember when I told you about Liberty Park having a lake?
No.
Okay, I briefly mentioned it.
It
Hold
does
on.
it still have a lake?
It's more of a pond now,
Oh,
is what people are saying, but
like the Salt Lake is now kind of like a salt pond.
yeah, exactly. And they call this Liberty Park Lake. So,
It's like green.
yeah, I'm sure, yeah, I'm sure it's nasty.
Don't swim in it. It's
Um,
full of freaking duck poo.
yeah. Um, so let me tell you about a story that involves this lake. So it was a few days after Halloween in the year 1920. A 13-year-old boy named Truman Pratt was playing with his toy sailboat at the southern end of Liberty Park Lake. While he was playing, he saw about 15 feet from him what looked like a Halloween mask floating in the water. He grabbed a stick and he grabbed some wire that he found and he made a tool that he could use to, hook the mask and pull it towards him so he can get a good look at it.
What a little creative kid.
I know. So he made this little tool, he hooked it onto this mask and he pulled it closer, only to find that it was the face of a dead woman.
Yuck.
The
That poor kid
local
is traumatized
right, the
forever.
local newspaper quoted the little boy saying, quote, "The hook caught in what I thought was a mask. I started to pull it ashore. It was unusually heavy, I thought, for a mask, so I was careful not to break my hold of it. When I got the object close to the shore and saw that a body was attached, I gave a scream."
What year was this?
1920.
Yeah, he does not talk like a normal child.
No,
I gave a
no.
scream.
Yep.
Who'd you
So
give it to?
after
Just kidding.
he yeah, right, the heavens. Um, After he found the body, he ran and told the park superintendent, Cindy R. Lamborn. She contacted the Salt Lake City police. The police identified the police identified the person as 40-year-old Frances Koros, but people called her Frey. She was born in Iowa, and in 1906 she graduated from St. Mark's Nursing School. She served in the US Navy as a nurse during World War I, and in 1920, she moved to Salt Lake City after she was discharged from the Navy. She moved here to live with her brother Yarrow and her sister Rose. And fun fact, she worked really closely with with the Salt Lake Health Department when it was first established. So she put a lot of work into that.
Yeah, she's killing it.
Yeah, the last time anyone had seen her alive was the night of Sunday, October 17th of 1920. What we know is that that night that she went missing, she attended the Methodist church, then afterwards went and had dinner with her brother and his family. After dinner, her brother recalls escorting her out to a streetcar to take her home, but she never made it. Her family
Hmm.
became extremely concerned and began forming search parties and filed a missing persons report. The police conducted their own search parties as well, but no one could find her. She just disappeared. After a few weeks, on November 6th of 1920, her body was found in Liberty Park Lake with a white cloth tightly wrapped around her neck. She was found wearing the same outfit with all of her jewelry still intact, and they discovered that her watch was stopped at the time 2:34. Frey's family denied any possibility of suicide. The coroner determined that she was killed before she was in the lake because neither her lungs or her stomach were filled with water. Sadly, this case has never been solved. And over time,
Still.
people have speculated that she was maybe hit by a car and then the person who did it freaked out and then dragged her body into the lake. However, investigators determined that this is an intentional homicide based on how tightly the knots were tied around her neck, as well as the
Mm.
suspicious location that she was found in. One other detail is that the cloth that was found around her neck came from woman's underwear, but it didn't come from her underwear.
Because she was still wearing
So,
hers.
yeah. Her body didn't test positive for any poisons. Her stomach was empty, other than a red liquid that the coroner believed to be cheap candy, which her brother later recalled that she had given candy to her nephews the night that she went missing.
Mm.
Also, rigor mortis had set in, indicating that she died in a sitting position.
Oh my
For a
gosh.
time, her brother Yarrow was a suspect because it was believed that her stomach had been empty for some time before she died, and that it's possible that he lied about getting her into a streetcar. And since, into a streetcar, since he was the last person that saw her alive. So, like, the
Yeah.
driver never came forward and said, "Oh, yeah, I came and dropped her off." So, it could be a driver, obviously, but
Yeah.
they're also like, or she never even got into a streetcar, and maybe something
Yeah.
happened to her.
It's usually the
Um,
people closest to you.
exactly. But he was eventually released as a suspect because they just didn't have enough to charge him with.
Yeah, they
So,
didn't have proof thing.
nothing. Yep. One strange detail is that the park's groundkeepers had been around the lake several times during the weeks that she had been missing and hadn't seen anything suspicious. Police say that bodies typically rise to the surface within 10 days after it has entered the water, but Frey's body wasn't detected until 3 weeks after her disappearance.
Mm.
So it raises questions like, how long was she in the water? Was she held captive before being murdered? And was her body hidden somewhere and then moved to the lake?
All right.
We just don't know.
Yeah. And the like abilities and technology back then were not as good as they are now. So they
Exactly.
only had so much they could do.
Yep.
Dang.
So I do have another very short true crime story.
Okay.
Um, but this one comes out of Liberty Park, and it's from back on August 20th of 1980, when a white supremacist named John Paul Franklin came to
Ugh.
Utah to, quote, do something about the race mixing at Liberty Park.
Excuse you?
Yeah. So I'm not going to share all the details about this story because when I was going to, but there's so much. So I'm like,
Oh.
let me just like give you guys like a preview, and then if you want to cover the story,
Mm.
you can. So I'm only sharing a little bit, like a
Okay.
summarization. So
Okay.
that way it leaves this open for you to do if you wanted to do it.
Okay.
But the story goes that serial killer Joseph Franklin, just a little bit about him, is that he was baptized in the LDS church and was very outspoken about his hatred towards Black Americans.
Ugh.
And apparently, he hated them so much that when the LDS church came forward and said, actually, they can hold the priesthood and all that stuff, he
Mm-hmm.
left the church because of that.
Oh wow.
And I think this happened shortly after. Um, so he showed up to Liberty Park and saw a Black 18-year-old named David Martin and 20-year-old Ted Fields with two of their white female friends, and then he just fatally shot them. And he went to trial and everything, and he ended up getting the death penalty.
Good.
Um, yeah, so that's the summarization of that story. I was reading, and like people that had commented on my post on Facebook, like a lot of deaths have happened at Liberty Park.
Yeah.
Murders, suicides, overdoses, you name it. Like
Oh yeah.
there's a lot at Liberty Park. So it's probably filled with some negative energy for
I
sure.
mean, but probably Central Park in New York City too. So that part
That's
might
true.
might actually be what Brigham Young. I mean, not what he wanted, but like,
Yeah. What he
hey,
envisioned is probably accurate.
yeah, it's
So,
like sorry, but it's maybe not the best mirror, but
mhm.
close.
Yeah, that's all the crime and all the true crime that I found that was like super significant at
Yeah.
Liberty Park. But like I said, there have been a lot of tragic deaths there,
Yeah.
that just didn't get a lot of stories behind it.
Hmm.
So Onto the ghosts. So a lot of my information for this next part is from a post that I made on the Utah Haunted History Facebook page. So if you're a listener who shared their story or experience on that post, thank you. Because I think that some people might listen from there. I
Oh,
think.
okay.
Because sometimes I mention like, oh yeah, this is my podcast, so listen if you want. Um, so if you're one of those people, hello. So a commenter named Jennifer W. said that she remembers hearing about murders of David and Ted at Liberty Park. And those were the two Black kids.
Okay.
So she remembers that story. And she said that a few years after it happened, she was driving by late at night. And when she stopped at a light, she suddenly felt like an overwhelming feeling of dread. Then she said she
Huh.
saw shadow figures running past her car. And she's mentioned that she had forgotten, like totally forgotten about that experience until she saw my post a couple weeks ago. And she's
Oh,
like, oh,
wow.
yeah, like this happened like right after that. So that was interesting.
Interesting.
Um, some of the commenters said that some commenters said that they live near the park and they all agree that it's definitely haunted, or at least it's really, really creepy at night.
Yeah.
In the bathrooms where a lot of the suicides and overdoses have taken place over the years. Some people have experienced the feeling of their hair or their clothing being pulled or yanked on.
Oh, geez.
A, yeah, a commenter on Facebook named Calista W said that she had her hair pulled in one of the bathrooms at Liberty Park. And when she left the bathroom, she had multiple bruises on her arms and on her legs.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's scary. I think that would be something leaving a mark on your body. I don't know.
That's
That's
just so
just,
hateful.
yeah. And it's just like something, like, because that could mean it attached to you, or, you
Oh,
know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
just
what if
scary.
that's how? Oh, that would be scary.
Hmm.
What's that show? Isn't there a movie where like some kind of entity grabs onto somebody and it's like their mark and so like they're being followed? Is that Game of Thrones? Like,
I,
was somebody touched by the Night King and then all of a sudden he was like able to find them? Was that what I'm thinking of? Or is it
I
something
don't know.
else?
I mean, I just
Anyway,
think paranormal activity because they had handprints on them and scratches and
yeah,
stuff.
that's so creepy.
Yeah.
Another commenter named Cassandra A said that her friend captured a video of the swing sets moving on their own a few years ago.
Ugh, I've seen that before, not at Liberty Park, but at our old elementary school.
Yeah, I've seen that too. And like, I remember watching it for so long to be
I
like,
know,
is it the wind?
because we're like, it's not windy. And there was one that was
Yeah.
still. And then there
Yeah,
was one that was like swinging, and there was no one around that was swinging on it. Oh, it was so creepy.
that is so creepy, but so fascinating
I
too. And I
know.
feel
We're
like
just,
that has to be playful because, like, what demon is going to swing on the swings?
I mean,
You know?
you know, they gotta enjoy
So
something.
that's true.
Maybe that's the only joy they're allowed.
Yeah. They're like, oh man, this shift really sucks. Hey, but there's swings.
Yeah. I'm supposed to be haunting this elementary school, and just like it's so
So lame.
mundane. Like kids screams here and there, it's just not doing it for me anymore. Gotta try these swings out.
Exactly.
They seem to really like it.
Yeah, right. So another commenter named Aaron S said that said that back in 1989 or 1990, he was at the park when he experienced some sort of entity that when it was provoked, it made a sound that he said it sounded as if it summoned every bird in the aviary to cry out all at once.
That would be so scary.
Wouldn't that be scary? Like,
Oh
and it's like a big demon. Like, that's enough to scare the wits out of you.
yeah. My wits would be gone.
Yeah, right. Another commenter named Riley A said, quote, I used to work at Tracy Aviary. there were these events every once in a while. One of the weddings I got out at like 2 in the morning. When I was taking out the trash, I thought someone was watching me from inside the park. I had to go my and do my rounds again before locking up, but no one was there. It honestly could have been just all the birds, but I never felt something like that so strongly except for that one time.
Oh, scary. Was he by himself? Sounds like he was by himself.
Yeah, by himself. Like
Oh my
no one
gosh.
was around, but he felt
Hell
like he was
no.
being watched.
I would never be anywhere in Salt Lake by myself.
No,
No.
never.
Nope.
Not even like parked in my car with like the doors locked.
No, I will not.
No, no, I won't be caught alive in downtown Salt Lake by myself late
I
at
went to
night.
school at downtown Salt Lake for a little bit
Uh,
and for QA, and like a couple times I took the tracks, but mostly I had Josh come and get me or like
yeah,
whatever because
yeah.
I parked like right where I could like walk directly to and I could see people I knew. But oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, I hated that. Hated
Mm-hmm.
it so much.
Yeah.
I don't like
I
downtown
swear,
Salt Lake
I
at
think
all.
downtown Salt Lake has to be some like its own portal to hell, right?
I
Like
think
I bet
so.
every block is haunted because a lot of my stories are in downtown Salt Lake, and I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna cover the entire thing.
Every square inch of that stupid city. Oh,
Yeah, I want to make a map and like put a little star at every location to see
yeah.
how much.
How many of
It's
them are at Salt
crazy.
Lake? Oh my gosh, yeah,
Yeah.
it's bad.
Yep. Well, that's the end of my story.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so the birds all crying at once, I think freaks me out. Like that
Right.
would I think I would have a hard time going back. Because you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Well, because it reminds me of that movie Birds. Like, what if if it was an entity, like, what if demons could, like, conjure up animals, like, all at once, like herds at a time or like flocks at a time? And, like, what if all those birds crying at once was his way of being like summoning them to then, like,
attack or
volley
something.
attack? Yeah.
So
What
are you
if
saying that birds are demons?
they might be?
I mean, have you ever been attacked by a goose?
I've been chased by one
Yeah, I've
at
been
the
chased by
Astro lot
geese.
at the Astro parking lot in South Jordan. There's that little the Jordan River right there where the geese like to hang out.
Yeah.
And I remember one time I was like, "Oh, cute! Here's some fries," and I'll start throwing some fries for the for the geese, and they started chasing me.
Wow.
So they probably just wanted the rest of the fries. But
Excuse me.
bless you.
I got chased and hissed at by some freaking bitch ass geese at the
Yeah.
at my old job because I had a little pond.
Hmm.
Ugh, I hated them so much. They
Were you
suck.
trying to feed them?
No, I was just walking past. Maybe it's because I wasn't feeding them.
Yeah,
But
probably.
I got too close in their bubble and they were upset and I was about to die. Ugh,
Hey, but that seems like it was a good tactic. If you don't want somebody in your bubble, just hiss at
desist.
them.
Okay,
Yeah.
good story, dude.
Thank thank you.
I don't know if I'll be going there anytime soon. Maybe
Kind
for
of
the
want to go to
drum circle.
Tracy. You'll be at the drum circle. I'll be at the Tracy Aviary learning about wine, being classy.
Yeah, and I'm just like, drums.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll just like run over to somebody and like, give me your sticks. And they're like, that's not what this is about.
They're like, no one invited you
Like, get
to this
away.
open event.
Like, you are banned.
You're the only person that's not invited.
Yeah. Mostly just because you know, don't know anything about drums. I just want to hear it
Yeah.
and feel it in my soul. I
Well, we
love it.
should go. We should go. We should go like undercover though.
Yeah. Don't look like we're there on purpose.
Yeah. And go we should go like dressed as what we assume drum circle people dress like and see if we're close.
Yeah. That would be
See
a
how
good
close we are.
experiment. And
That'd be fun.
then we'll go to the wine thing and dress how we think people will dress for that. We're like in cocktail
Yeah.
dresses and everyone's just like in jeans. We're just like,
Yeah.
is this not what we wear to this?
And we take notes and taking it like super seriously.
Yeah, and we're just like, and then we're like, like at your like at a winery, and you're like stirring it, and you smell it, and you're like, is this 2015?
Yeah,
Anyways,
grapes.
oh man.
Have the ice cubes?
Can I mix
we would be
this with a little Sprite?
we would be like the unclassiest, classiest people.
Yeah. We're like all decked out, and then we're like, I know nothing about wine, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, funny.
Okay.
Well,
Are you ready
we
for my
should we should
story?
write, for 2023, we should write like a bucket list of all the places we want to go visit.
Based off our
And
stories.
yeah.
It'll be fun.
Okay, wait, I need a drink before you start.
Okay. Okay. So, real quick, I got a lot of my information from some YouTube videos and podcasts. One called Murder with My Husband. I don't know if you've seen their billboards in Utah County, but
Mm,
Murder with My Husband is a podcast with a wife who loves true crime and a husband who hates it. And so
okay.
he like kind of reacts to stuff. She tells him a story and he like hates every second of it. And
Okay.
um and then also Unseen, who did a great job compiling information with videos, 911 calls, and stuff like that, which I think is always nice to see when you're doing a true or when you're like interested in a true crime story. I like to like understand things, like they had body cams from officers and stuff like that, and I just think it like makes it more real instead
Where
of
do you
reading it
find all that?
YouTube. I
Oh,
mean,
YouTube. Okay.
this channel called Unseen, I'm sure they got like permissions and stuff to use all that. So,
Okay.
um, I don't know how that works. Maybe I'll have to
I'm
look
always
into it.
interested, like when they're like, "Oh, the police released this body cam footage." I'm like, "Released it where?"
I know, where do you get that? Like, do you just have a subscription to like files of
Yeah.
crimes and you just
So
get
it's like, how fun would that be? Like, just be like sitting on the toilet. I'm like, I'm just gonna browse body cam footage,
yeah, right?
like
Well,
just
but
for like leisure time.
they also have like interviews from the um like police and stuff, like interviews with suspects and stuff. I'm like,
Huh.
where do they get that from?
Yeah.
Like when they say
Right.
like it's, you know, like unsealed evidence or whatever, like how do they get access to that? Like do they have to request
Get
it from the city or
yeah.
something?
And then they get a copy and then they're posting it.
I don't know. I'll have to look into it. I'll
Uh,
I'll learn how to be good at this. Okay.
okay.
Um you're like, that'd be nice. Okay.
No, no,
Um
that's not what I meant.
okay. So let's begin. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. It was almost midnight on July 23rd, 2013 in Davis County when Tiffany Mead, a 22-year-old mom, calmly called 911. She told the dispatcher that she was in front of Davis High School and she said, quote, I tried to commit suicide. My neck is bleeding. I need help quick. She
Oh my
said her
gosh.
husband and her 2-year-old son were with her in the car, which sounds weird because you're like, then why are you calling 911? Right?
Yeah, and also like how did they let you do that?
Right.
How did your husband let you do that?
Right.
And like, yeah, why aren't, and if
It's
you're in the car, why aren't you just driving? Why isn't your husband just driving you to the hospital?
right.
Yeah.
Lots of big question marks already, right?
Okay. Got it.
And also, I have to say, I tried really hard for the Christmas episode to have it be a happy story. But when you're talking about true crime, sorry, it all sucks.
It all
So,
sucks.
yeah, and my mom or our mom was like, you could try to find like a story of giving, like a mystery, and people were giving and they didn't know who it was. And I was like, I don't know how to even search for that. So I literally Googled, I was like, Christmas miracles. And I was like, Christmas giving on Christmas in Utah. And
And nothing.
I was like, it doesn't exist. Um,
Oh,
anyway, I tried, but here we are. Okay.
yeah.
So she calls 911 and she says, my neck is bleeding, right? Okay.
Hmm.
Then the dispatcher asks to speak with her husband because her husband's in the car.
Yeah.
And so her husband Chris gets on the phone and the dispatcher asks if they have anything to apply pressure. And he says, really like kind of annoyed. He was like, and I have the record, or I was listening to the recording of the 911 call. So like I could tell his tone. He was kind of annoyed. He's like, well, I've got my shirt. And she's like, the dispatcher was like, well, we have to do something.
Yeah.
So like take
Is
your
if
shirt
that's all
off.
you got, that's all you got.
Right. And then the dispatcher asked him, are you applying pressure? And he said, yeah, she's got her hand on her throat. Like he's being such a lazy ass if he's trying to actually save her life.
Yeah.
Um, so after a few minutes, the police arrive with their med kit, and when they approach the car, they're immediately thinking that she's not going to survive this because her throat is cut. Um,
Wow.
Tiffany was shaking and panicking. There was blood everywhere. A police officer took Chris aside to ask him some questions as the ambulance is helping Tiffany. Their 2 year
Hmm.
old son, who's in the back of the car, he he's crying, right? Like that's whatever is going on. He's panicking, he's crying, and he's unsure where his
Yeah.
parents are, whatever. So one of the firemen went to go get him out of the car, and Tiffany was worried that they were going to give Noah, the 2 year old son, to Chris, the husband, and she yelled, "Quote, don't let him take my baby. He's the one who did this. I didn't do this."
Oh,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. So a police officer took Chris aside. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Erase. Okay.
Okay.
The police officer knew something was off when they got there. Like right when they arrived, they knew. They're like, okay, there's something off because like
They're
how?
not like there's not the frantic help
Yeah,
being asked
like
for.
yeah. And so after Tiffany changed her story and told them, hold on, my husband did this to me, they took Chris into custody to get to the bottom of it. Um,
Hmm.
Upon initial investigation, detectives did notice that the car was covered in blood on the inside and the outside. So it seemed kind of like she could have been injured on the outside of the car and then moved to the inside of the car, which is how blood got on both inside and outside.
Okay. Yeah.
During questioning with the detectives, Chris told them that Tiffany tried to commit suicide and he was trying to help her. And he says, quote, I didn't exactly help her out, but I did assist in saving her.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Cause like she was holding her throat.
Yeah, like
And
literally, what did you do?
yeah, all he did was allow her to call 911. Like, I don't know.
Wait, what did
Um,
he say again?
He said, quote, I didn't exactly help her out. I assisted in saving her.
You know what that makes me think?
Huh.
That he's telling the truth without saying what he did.
Yeah, that's how I kind of
Because
read it too.
that wording makes me think like I didn't actually help her out, meaning like I did it, but I assisted in saving her, meaning like I gave her my phone to call, or like I was there,
Yeah.
like I like you said, like I let her call 911.
Yeah. Like,
Like I let her live, you know.
so he's like not lying, but he's whatever, taking
Yeah.
credit for the little tiniest thing he did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so he said that Tiffany had a history in suicidal thoughts and he wasn't sure how it happened. She just suddenly slit her own throat. And
Mm,
detectives knew this wasn't right. An officer said, quote, people don't commit suicide that way, especially for a mother to do it in front of her child.
yeah.
Right.
Right.
And Chris kept saying in the interview or the questioning, whatever interrogation, he said, I love her. I wouldn't try to save her if I didn't love her.
What?
It's like you didn't try to save her. You just said I didn't exactly help her out.
And not only that, but like if it was a stranger, does that mean that you would just not help her out? You know what I
But
mean?
also, he could have taken her to the hospital.
Yeah.
Like, he could have done more and he didn't. He
Or
could
like
have,
think about this. If her throat is gashed open, sorry if that's super awful to think about, but that and then she's talking,
yeah,
like what you think that like someone who has that kind of injury, whether it be self-inflicted, an accident on purpose, whatever it be,
yeah,
don't you think you'd want them to stop talking
yeah.
and like
It's like,
apply pressure?
right.
Like stop
But
talking, apply pressure, and stay calm.
yeah, but he's like not doing that.
Wow.
So during the interrogation, Tiffany was in surgery. She was trying, or the surgeons were trying to repair the injuries the best that they could. Luckily, she didn't damage her trachea too bad, which is how she was able to talk.
Okay.
Um, the next morning, Tiffany is in recovery and she's ready to talk to the police. Lieutenant Jen Daly was assigned to Tiffany's case and went to the hospital to see if she could figure out what happened. Tiffany tells her, quote, he told me if I wanted to get my child support check, I would have to meet him. So I think they were estranged.
Okay.
And stressed to her that she had to come alone. But she did say, hey, I have to bring Noah with me because young mom, you have to bring your kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Chris tells her to meet up at this park about a mile away from Davis High School. And it's kind of secluded and not like highly trafficked park. So it's just,
Hmm. Yeah.
pretty quiet. And so she said she got out of the car and he started walking toward her with a look that she said she had seen in his eyes before. She started backing up around the car and he continued walking toward her. Then he grabs her in a bear hug. He's and since he's considerably bigger than she is, she couldn't get away. She begged him to let go of her and said that she was scared and told him that Noah was in the car and could hear and see everything that was happening. So like trying to say like bring him back to reality like your kid's right there. Don't do this,
Check
okay?
yourself. Yeah.
Right. And he put his hand on her mouth, and with the other hand, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a knife. He looked her in the eyes and slit her throat. As he slit her
Oh
throat, he
my.
whispered, shh, don't scream. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So Tiffany tries to grab her throat with her hand, and he holds it down. He spent a couple minutes letting her lose blood and just watched it. He just watched the blood come out of
Oh
her.
my.
And she said that she told him that she was starting to get dizzy. So he let her sit in the driver's seat of the car, which is how blood got on the inside and outside.
Okay. Got
He
it.
told her the only way he would allow her to get help is if she would get back together with him and drop the divorce. So she told him that she would. And she said that she loved him because she was just trying to
Whoa.
get him to let her get help.
Yeah.
And so Chris kissed her and then told her that they have to get rid of the knife. So he got in the passenger seat and told her to start driving. As she's driving, she's holding the steering wheel and holding her throat.
Oh
And
my
he's having
gosh.
her drive with their
Wow.
2 year old in the back seat. Like,
I hate this guy. Can I
I
say it
know,
now? I hate him. I hate
I hate
him.
him. Oh, you're going to hate him even more. Like, just wait. So, um, her main concern at this point is trying to get Noah to safety because she's like, I'm injured and I'm driving but I want to make sure he's in a safe place. But she ended up having to stop in front of Davis High School and he said, okay, we need to come up with a story. And like because he knew that she was taking antidepressants, he told her to say that she tried to kill herself and she was waiting and sorry. So he told her to say that she was trying to kill herself because it would make sense with like the medication she was taking.
Mm-hmm.
And so when police got there, she was looking for an opportunity for there to be distance between her and Chris. um, so that she could tell someone what really happened, that she didn't try to kill herself, right?
Okay.
So she
Wow.
tells Lieutenant Daly all of this in her hospital room. And Lieutenant Daly asks if there's anything else that she needs to know. And Tiffany said, quote, just that he's a very violent person. And if he's done this once, he'll do it again. So
Hmm.
she's like, if he is ever near me again, he's going to try to kill me again. Like, I know
Yeah, he's gonna finish the job,
it. Yeah.
guaranteed.
So Tiffany and Chris had met online. So just a little backstory about them. They met online. Um, he was sweet and kind, and they ended up getting married in November 2009. Shortly after they were married, Chris deployed to Iraq, and after that, she said she noticed a change in his personality, and he was no longer the same person that she married. So I think
Mm.
she whatever he experienced there either could have brought more violence out of him or could have kind of I don't know, like he could have had like a violent awakening, like he enjoyed it,
Hmm.
or it could be a mental health of what he experienced in
Right.
Iraq. So
Right.
we don't really know where that trigger came from, because he could have been a bad guy and had this nice sweet personality
Hmm.
and then couldn't cover it up forever.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Right. Don't know.
So Lieutenant Daly is determined to find out or find evidence that proves Tiffany's story.
Hmm.
They need hard evidence to bring to Chris's trial so that he doesn't get out and try to kill her again.
Yeah.
So they searched about a mile radius from the park that they were at initially, but they never end up finding the knife. They did find kind of like a pile of blood or a pool of blood at the
Hmm.
park, but then did not find the knife ever,
Okay.
which is really what they needed to take to his trial.
Hmm.
Um, Lieutenant Daly is concerned for Tiffany's safety at that point if Chris ever gets out. So she takes it upon herself to start listening to Chris's calls he makes from jail.
Okay.
She's hoping that he confesses to someone or gives her something to go on. Maybe he says where the knife is, or maybe he said like changes his story a little bit that gives her a little clue, right? So she's
Yeah.
listening to hours upon hours of phone calls, and she notes that the recorded phone calls includes like Chris's parents telling him not to say anything, not to talk about what happened, and like to stay quiet. And I'm like, you
Hmm.
probably are telling your child that, but like if you know that he did this, like
Yeah.
why not say why did you do that,
Yeah.
instead of saying don't say anything, I don't trust the police, don't say anything.
Right. It's like, why not try to find the justice where it needs to be served, you
Not,
know?
yeah, not, oh, my violent son did this to his wife and to the, father or to the daughter or mother of my grandchildren.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know. Like, I would hope that I would be like, nope, you did this, you get to get the consequences. But I feel like
Hmm.
your parent instincts tell you, like, oh, I gotta protect you, even,
Yeah. Even
um,
if.
that's just a tough spot. But okay, so after months of listening to his phone calls, Lieutenant Daly didn't hear anything useful. She felt as though she was failing Tiffany and his trial was coming up quick. So, because from the date of his arrest, it's about a year before he can get a trial. So,
Okay.
yeah, so he'll be, I think his trial was in June of 2014, I think.
Hmm.
Because
Okay.
the, yeah. So Um, so she's like, okay, I only have a year to find what I need. And so then she hears this phone call that gets her attention. Chris told a friend, quote, write this name down, Raymond, and then they bleep out the last name. And he
Hmm.
said, Facebook him and tell him I'm in here. And she's like, that's kind of weird. She's like, I've never really heard him talk about his friends or talk about like contacting someone before. So like why does he want to contact him? and tell him
Right.
that he's in there. So she's like, this is something. So on a post-it note, she writes down the name Raymond.
Yeah.
And then she goes to her sergeant and she's like, hey, help me find this person.
Hmm.
And they find out that this Raymond guy had spent time in the same cell as Chris did, but he was recently released. So
Okay.
they're like, this might be something. So we're just gonna
Yeah.
watch it. So or we're gonna reach out to Raymond and try to talk to him, right? So
Okay.
Lieutenant Daly reaches out to Raymond's patrol officer or parole patrol officer parole officer and sets up a meeting. And they talk to Raymond and ask him, do you remember serving time with Carl? Or
Yeah.
Carl, Chris. In my head, I'm like, Carl. Like
Carl,
the llamas.
what did you do?
Sorry, the early days of YouTube. Anyways,
Yeah.
so they talk to Raymond and ask, do you remember serving time with Chris? And he says, yeah. And then the investigators say, did he ever talk about what happened with his wife? And Raymond says, yeah. And they're like, can you tell us about that? And he said, what happened in jail stays in jail. And
No.
yeah. And they're like, no, he's probably thinking snitches get stitches. And they're
Oh
like,
yeah.
we will give you stitches. I'm just kidding. But Lieutenant Daly told him now's the time to do what's right. Like, come on, just tell us what happened. And Raymond tells them, quote, there wasn't a lot of details, but he was the one who tried to cut her throat. And they're like, oh, this is big. This is something we can use, right? Like we gotta,
Yeah.
but it's not that much. Like it's not enough to like really put him away, right? So
Right, because like trying to slip, like trying to do it doesn't mean he did it, you know.
right. And it's also a
So,
third person saying, yeah, he told me this.
hmm.
Like, okay, but they need
Yeah.
more, right?
Right.
So they ask him, they just kind of had a feeling that they needed to like ask this question. He said, did he ever ask you to do anything to Tiffany when you got out? And he said, yeah. He just,
Really?
yeah, he said, he just asked me if I had connections to arrange for bad things to happen to her. And Lieutenant Daly said, what bad things? And Raymond says, to arrange her death.
Whoa.
Yeah. So Chris told Raymond he would pay $25,000 for someone to kill his wife.
What?
Yeah.
Why would somebody spend money on that?
I don't
You know
know
what I mean?
why
Like,
he's spending thousands of dollars or is attempting to spend thousands of dollars to get his wife killed because she broke up with him.
yeah. Like with $25,000, you can go get yourself a new wife. But I mean, like, you could like pay for a whole new wedding with that.
Lieutenant Daly, immediately after this meeting with Raymond, went to Tiffany's home and told her everything. Tiffany thought, quote, if I'm not safe while Chris is in jail, I'm never going to be safe again.
Yeah.
So they put extra they put extra patrols on her home, and Lieutenant Daly told her, if you ever are scared, even if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, I will come to your house myself.
Hmm.
We love
So
Lieutenant
sweet.
Daly, just so you know.
Yeah.
She is the
Top
best.
notch.
Yeah. Then they okay, then they asked Raymond if he would get on the phone with Chris and try to get something recorded. They're hoping to get a confession recorded or it recorded that he wants to hire somebody, like they need something concrete and recorded, right?
Yeah.
From his mouth, like they need it.
Yeah.
So, so Raymond calls Chris and the interactions being recorded and he says, "Hey, remember that?" Well, he doesn't just call him on the phone. I think it was like I don't know. I think he was like in the facility, but it
Oh,
was still over the phone. Okay. Anyways,
yeah.
So Raymond tells him, "Hey, do you remember that work you needed done?" And Chris says, "Yeah." And Raymond says, "Dude, I've got a guy." And because he's trying to get him to say like, "Okay, do it," or like whatever,
Yeah.
right? And Chris tells him, "I can't do it at this time. We've got to wait." Ugh. And they're like, "Dang it, that's not that we can't use that."
Oh
Right?
my gosh.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
investigators are a little worried that Chris might be onto them. Like someone told him that like Raymond had talked to police or something. So as his trial is continuing to get closer, they need more proof. Like they need something more concrete. So then
Yeah.
another inmate later comes forward and says, hold on, where'd I go? Oh, there it is. Okay. So another inmate came forward to the investigators and told them that Chris also confessed to him. And apparently, so this guy's like a hard criminal. Like he is, they call him a career criminal. He's
Okay.
not a good guy. So they're
Like
like,
he's lived in prison his entire life.
yeah, and he's like in bad, uh, bad crimes, bad.
Yeah.
So, um, they're like not super sure if they should trust him, but they like
Mhm.
don't have many options. So
Yeah.
hoping he's telling the truth, right? So in a interview with this inmate, they say, okay, well, why did he try to cut her throat then? And the inmate said, well, she left him. He was rejected.
Hmm.
And at that point, I was like, oh my gosh, men. Like,
Yeah.
I
Right.
know, I know there are like both sides that go crazy when they're rejected, but I'm just like, your pride does not mean you should kill someone if
Yeah.
they bruise your ego. Like, sorry.
Right.
So basically, he did all of this and continues to try to kill her from the prison system
Hmm.
because he was rejected. And according to this inmate, Chris had also asked him to kill her because this guy has connections outside of prison
Hmm.
because he's runs with that crowd, right?
I see. Yeah.
So the investigators, they don't trust this guy, but because he does have those connections where it could have been a
Hmm.
real request, they
Yeah.
have to use the opportunity and see if they can use this inmate to get that.
Yeah.
So they set up an undercover cop to pose as a hitman brought by the inmate. So like they're like, okay,
Okay.
like act like you said you're bringing him and saying, I know this guy can do what you need. And then use
Hmm.
this undercover cop to like get the confession out of him, okay? Or like
Yeah.
to get the hit
The
request
deets.
recorded. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the informant, inmate, and the undercover cop are on the phone at the prison, right? So they set
Hmm.
this thing up to where they're gonna have a conversation with each other as like okay, so the inmate's saying, oh yeah, like I have this guy, he needs your services or whatever, and the
Yeah.
undercover cop is like, okay, like let me talk to him. And
Yeah.
so um the inmate calls over to a group of guys in the prison, and it's all recorded, like you can see. Oh, it's really cool to watch. Anyways, so
Yeah.
you can see like him yelling, and he's like, hey, where's Chris? And so Chris walks over and just hands him a piece of paper and walks away.
Okay.
And on the piece of paper is Tiffany's home address. And
Mm.
that's all they've given, or that Chris was communicating, right? So
Yeah.
the informant tells Chris that the hitman, or let's see, the informant tells Chris that the hitman that he was on the phone with is going to
Hmm.
take the address and he's going to go take some pictures of the home and the person that the hit is on and make sure that he has the right place and person.
Hmm.
So then after
This
this,
is so scary.
I know.
This
I
is
know.
so scary realizing that like this shit happens.
Yeah, there are people in Utah that are hitmen.
Yeah.
And for the right price, they'll do what you ask.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
I know. It's like realizing that there's like secret agents that go and like
It's the
assassinate people.
spiders again. It's the spiders that are 10 feet from you.
Yeah, there's just like murderers everywhere. Ugh,
Everywhere.
I
Hitmen. Oh, it's terrifying.
people willing to kill for literally nothing like is insane
Yeah.
to me. Okay. So then after they have this like little setup conversation, then the informant inmate guy, he's like refusing to cooperate with investigators now. And he's like, "Well, I will cooperate with you and I will do what you want me to do if you can reduce my sentence." So
No.
he's playing the system, right?
Yeah.
He's like, if I do what you want me to do, that I get something in return. It's like, no, you are a criminal, actually.
Yeah.
So, and one of the officers in this interview thing said, he in one of the videos on YouTube, he's like, he had a victim and that victim needed justice. So we didn't
Mm-hmm.
feel right about giving him any kind of deal. So what they
Yeah.
did instead is before this guy that like wasn't going to get any kind of deal from police, before he could ruin their operation and like go and tell Chris like, hey, I've been talking to police, this is what they're doing, this guy's not real. They ended up moving him to a different jail, and they're
Oh,
just like,
smart.
yeah, completely removing him from the situation.
Wow. That,
And
that makes sense of like why inmates are seemingly randomly removed and like
mm-hmm,
like moved around. And I wonder if it's because like certain people know too much about other people
yeah,
or yeah, that's
yeah,
interesting.
I know, it was interesting to me too. I'm like, I wonder if that's why people get moved around so much.
Yeah.
Like the last story, that guy, he got moved
Mm-hmm.
around all over the place because he was a
Yeah.
butthole and he kept like
Yeah.
causing issues and trying to get like
Right.
whatever. So
But
yeah.
like it does make me wonder though, like if they ever have like back pocket ideas for if they're like, we need this inmate to help us out, get information this way. Like if they have some things like some cards to pull where like, okay, like we'll let you have these kinds of meals,
Yeah.
like we'll get you KFC dinner for a month or
Yeah. I
something.
bet they do something to
Yeah.
like benefit them in some way.
Yeah. Cause
Um,
I'm like, I don't I mean, I don't know.
I
I might
love
take this
that
out.
your lights have been stuck in your hair forever.
They really have been, and I keep like getting unstuck and then they keep getting restuck. And I'm just like, do I care? Do I care that
No,
much?
it's just funny because
It's just
every
part of
time,
my hair.
yeah, that's how it's been almost like
I know. This entire time. Hold
you
on.
can just leave it. It was
Hold on.
funny. Oh, there you go.
Wait.
Oh no.
Whatever. Oh, whatever. Okay.
I
But what was I gonna say?
don't
Oh,
know.
I might take this part out. But
Okay.
um I feel like that wouldn't hurt the justice.
Yeah. Like if they were like, okay, like you were saying, you can get um like whatever meal you want for once a month ever for the rest of your sentence or
Yeah.
something like that,
Like something weird. Yeah.
where it's like they do get something that they're missing and that's
Mm-hmm.
like interesting to them. Or I wonder if they do have
Yeah.
things like that they can use, that they can easily get approval for from like higher ups.
Mm-hmm.
But
Where it's not
reducing,
freedom, it's just sweetening the deal.
yeah, they're just given like an extra privilege or something.
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, yeah, anyway, so he was moved from the jail and they're crossing their fingers that he hadn't spilled the beans on the operation already
Yeah.
before he was moved. So they're kind of hoping that they're still okay to move on, but they try anyway. They're like, this is all we can really do. So
Yeah.
they send the undercover cop to meet with Chris directly. And they're like, this is our last hope. Like, we gotta cross our fingers that this works.
Yeah.
So the undercover cop shows Chris the pictures he took and confirms with Chris that it was the correct house and that sorry, a picture of Tiffany was the right person that he wanted murdered. And another side note that Tiffany was a part of this. So like she knew that they were taking those pictures and she said it took everything I had not break down and just cry.
Well, I assume that she has such bad trust issues at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Like just the PTSD of like who's coming after me, you know?
Yeah.
Like can I sleep tonight with my lights turned off? Can I
I can only imagine the feeling that like he's asked multiple people. Like
Yeah.
what if he's paid multiple people and just whoever gets there first?
Yeah.
And like
Like capture the flag, you know?
right, it's just like okay, you can all keep the money, but whoever gets there first gets more or something.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
that's so scary to think that people could just do that. Oh,
Well,
I
that
don't
also
know.
makes me wonder if there's any people out there that are like aspiring to be hitmen, you know, and like
Yeah.
they practice or whatever. Okay, that's oh
Anyway, so they took or he confirmed he showed on the screen. He's like, is this the house? Is this the person?
yeah.
And he said, yeah. And so the undercover cop, um, he was like, okay, so this guy that hired or told him about him, whatever, made the connection, the
Mm-hmm.
inmate guy, told me to make it happen, right? And he's trying to speak in code, so he's like not giving it away because he
Mm-hmm.
knows that he's but as a hitman, he has to be secretive in the words he says. So he's like just innuendos, like, you
Yeah.
know, trying to talk vaguely, but get the right information. So he's like,
Yeah.
so he told me just to make it happen. And Chris said, yeah, just have fun. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And the cop asked, the undercover cop asked, okay, well, when do you want to have it done? And Chris said, whenever you can, the sooner the better. Yeah. So the price that the cop gave him was $5,000. And Chris said, yep, just have fun.
$5,000. Just
$5,000.
fun.
Yeah.
Oh
$5,000 can get someone killed.
my gosh.
Yeah. I know. Doesn't it just make you scared to be out in the world?
That like makes me really think about all the people that dislike me. And I'm like, you know, they don't have that much just laying
Yeah.
around,
You're like, at least
right?
my enemies are poor bitches.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. Yep.
Oh my gosh. I feel like you have to be a certain kind of person though to just like kill someone over something so small of rejection or hurting their
Yeah.
feelings or whatever.
Right.
Ugh. Anyway,
Oh my gosh.
so now as this is happening, Lieutenant Daly was watching the whole thing and she said, quote, I literally jumped out of my chair and I remembered yelling, yes, we got him.
Yeah.
So Tiffany said, so Lieutenant Daly called Tiffany and she said, you don't have to be scared anymore. You don't have to worry anymore. He's gonna be in there a hell of a lot longer than he was ever gonna be off the original charge. So she's like, don't worry.
Hallelujah.
It's like we are good. I know for a fact that this is gonna keep him in bars, right?
But
So,
though keeping him in bars obviously isn't guaranteeing her safety.
right. It's I mean, it's clearly not enough, but I wonder if he got um less privileges on the phone
Hmm.
um or no
Maybe.
phone
Yeah.
privileges because of what he was using the phone for, you know?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So now he, at this point, is charged with 2 felony counts of criminal solicitation to commit aggravated murder and 3 felony counts of obstruction of justice. Tiffany told Lieutenant Daly, thank you for saving my life. And during Chris's trial, he pled no contest and he was sentenced to 5 years to life.
5 years.
Yeah. Isn't that shit?
Okay, so this is 2014, you said?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's barely done the minimum now.
Right. Right. So he did end up having so because he was 5 years to life, he would be eligible for parole in 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
In 2016, he did have a parole hearing to see when he could be released. Like, so they do it early, you know.
Yeah.
So he had a parole hearing in 2016, which Tiffany spent 5 years preparing for, not 5 years. My math sucks. 3 years? I don't
Three.
know.
Yeah.
And asked
Or
to
2 years. 14 to 16.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
2 years.
Two.
Um, so she's preparing for it this whole time because Lieutenant Daly's like, hey, this is what's gonna happen, a parole hearing. You can speak to the parole board and make your case and why he shouldn't be released and like trying to help her prepare for it.
Yeah.
And even though Lieutenant Daly at this point is doesn't have to work on this case anymore because she did the cop duty
Yeah.
of investigating and all this stuff, she no longer has to be a part of the parole hearing. She doesn't have to be a part of much else after he's sentenced.
Mm-hmm.
So she, out of her own time, is helping Tiffany prepare for this.
Yeah.
So
She's like, you make sure this son of a bitch does not,
days. Yeah.
yeah, does
Yeah.
not get out.
So Tiffany was able to tell the parole board during that parole hearing that she knows that Chris would try again. And just talks about the effects that the whole situation had on her and her kids and all that stuff. And he was denied parole, luckily.
Good.
So Lieutenant Daly said, quote, as long as I am alive, I will continue to stand in a gap between Christopher Ertman and Tiffany Mead.
Aw.
Isn't that so amazing? And
Yeah.
Tiffany said, quote, I do think that Jen Daly is my guardian angel. That woman has moved mountains.
That's so
I
sweet.
know. Lieutenant Daly promised to continue to support Tiffany at each parole hearing to fight to keep him between bars.
Between like a piece of toast.
My brain just imagined him like squished in between bars.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay. Lieutenant Daly promised. I'm sorry. Ah. Lieutenant Daly promised to continue to support Tiffany. I'm sorry. At each parole hearing in the future to fight to keep him behind bars.
Behind them.
Behind them, not between them.
Not between or in front.
Yeah. To keep Tiffany and her boys safe. She told Oxygen.com, quote, although I cannot speak at the parole hearings, the fact that I'm in the building, I hope is enough to show the parole board that this case is important, that a cop actually showed up to it. Because I guess they don't go to parole hearings. I will
Okay.
never miss one. Even if I'm 90 and in a wheelchair or a walker, somebody will push me in that door.
Oh,
I know. I love her so much.
yeah.
Christopher Ertman will not have another chance of parole until 2029. And we
Hmm.
hope that he never makes parole.
Yeah.
Never, never is released from prison. But today Tiffany is remarried and her little boys are happy and safe. She
Mhm.
still fights and is a voice against domestic violence. She still, you can see the scar.
Yeah.
And she says she has a hard time looking in the mirror because it still reminds her of everything that happened. But she
Yeah.
says, quote, I want women through my story to be able to realize that they can leave.
Oh, yes.
So
Absolutely.
if you suspect domestic violence, call National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. All calls are toll free and confidential. And yeah, so there is a episode of Oxygen's Murder for Hire that has like the whole story and interviews and
Mhm.
911 calls and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but I used YouTube because I don't want to pay for Oxygen. So,
Right.
so I will list in our on our website the YouTube places that I've used,
Okay.
and so you guys can see all that stuff. But yeah, that's my story. Tiffany Mead survival
Whew.
story.
You know what? That had at least a happy ending.
Yeah, and I love that Lieutenant Daly and Tiffany kind of built a like an
A bond.
unbreakable bond over this. Like
Yeah.
she didn't have to go and like search
Insert.
herself into it. Like she didn't have to
Yeah.
go and listen to his phone calls over and over again. She could have just said
Hmm.
like oh,
Yep.
we'll just let the,
The courts sorted out,
do
you
its
know.
thing. But like she went above and beyond and she
Yeah.
found something so huge. And like he would have had her murdered. Like she would have
Yeah.
died. She would
She
have
would have.
been killed one way or another if not
Hmm.
for Lieutenant Daly and the fact that like Tiffany, you could see it in her face that like she's just so grateful for like
Yeah. Help.
that.
For
Yeah.
someone to reach out and help, you know?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure women who are dealing with domestic violence,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure at some points, maybe not all the time, I don't know, but like at some point, I'm sure they're like, will somebody just help me? You know?
Yeah. Well,
Like
because
I can't fight this by myself, you know? Like
yeah.
if I could, I would, you know?
Well, and for too
So
long, women were looked at as, oh, she's just crazy. Oh, she takes
yeah.
antidepressants. That means she's not like sane.
Hmm.
No, like take the information you have and look at the fact that this man has literally slit her throat. He's
Hmm.
mad that they're getting divorced.
Hmm.
Like, sorry, but no.
Hey,
Uh,
well, wow, good research, man. Like that's crazy.
yeah, I did
It
that this morning.
no, that was I wouldn't have even guessed. You know what? I have a request if you can find it. You should find a Utah or international story of a hitman who got caught,
I don't
you
know if
know?
that's happened, but
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll look.
I mean, I can't, I'm sure the at least one has slipped up, like didn't do the cleanest job or whatever, and then get
Like I
caught. And then,
wonder if like uh, a very new criminal thought that he
yeah,
could be a hitman and he was an aspiring hitman and he
yeah,
messed up.
that's what I'm wondering if that happens. That's why I'm like, you should see if you can find it where they're like, yeah, man,
Yeah.
like 5,000 and I got you good. And then like it just he gets caught like the next day, you
Yeah.
know?
It's like you put your tracks all over the place and we just followed them right to you.
Exactly. Like you didn't check for the Ring doorbell, dude.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my
Anyway,
story. It was I just was so happy to find one that ended in like strong women
yeah,
there
a happy
together.
ending. I'm glad that she didn't die because I was worried that you're gonna be like, she made it for a few days, but then sadly,
Nope, she survived and
whew,
she's,
good.
living her life and being happy. And that's all we can ask for her. And all we can ask our friggin' judicial system is to keep this idiot Chris behind bars forever
Hmm. Hmm.
until someone kills him. Because that
And
happens
don't
to
give him the
me.
phone. Don't pass him the phone.
Don't let him have the phone. He doesn't get any privileges.
No.
No. Or
Hey,
have a cellmate because, like, apparently you
yeah,
can just hire your cellmates to do your dirty work outside of prison.
right. Don't let him have a phone. Don't let him have friends.
No.
Keep him locked in his cell.
Yeah. I cannot believe that. I think it shocked me that there are people that have connections for hitmen.
Yeah,
Like you see it in like movies and whatever and you're just like, yeah, okay. But
yeah,
then you realize that literally that just happened in Draper.
yeah. Wait,
Like
what?
Draper. Draper, Utah. It happened there. That's where
What did?
this story.
Oh, at the prison?
Mhm.
Okay. Sorry, I'm like, I thought this happened in Davis County. But I see what you're saying. The
Yeah.
whole sting operation and everything.
Well, I don't really actually know where that happened. I think he's
What?
in I think I lied to you. I don't know exactly what jail he was in.
Oh.
Now he's in Draper, but I don't know where he was when he was in jail. When he was in prison, as
Mm,
in Draper. I think he had his year in a regular county jail, so it must have been Davis
oh,
County.
maybe, yeah. I don't know.
I didn't care to research that apparently, the locations of things, but
That's all right. That's why I was confused. I'm like, Draper, but I'm like, yeah, I guess the prison's there. But anyway, how did it feel going second?
I think where I ended with a survival story, it wasn't bad, but I think if I would have ended with like a sad, like devastating thing,
Yeah,
it would have been
right.
way harder just because I feel like you never want to end these on a sad note,
Yeah,
you know,
not too sad.
not too sad.
Right.
Because I feel like we get most of our like giggles out during the ghost stories.
Yeah. Well, thank you everybody for listening. Merry Christmas and a happy new year.
Yes, Merry
Um,
Christmas.
all right. Well, let's do our outro.
Okay. I think we
Okay.
said Merry Christmas. I think we said it was episode 35.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
Follow
uh,
us on social media and go to our website and all those things, but enjoy your Christmas day and
yeah.
don't worry about us.
Yeah. Just
But
listen to this when
tomorrow,
you have time, which you
yeah,
already have.
tomorrow though, go to our website and order some stuff. Just kidding.
Yes.
Join our Patreon because you get
Hmm.
extra things.
Right.
Um,
Like another bonus episode coming out on January 1st.
yeah,
April's going to be giving us an international true crime story. So,
yep.
yep,
Um,
check that
yep.
out.
I think that's it.
That's it. Okay.
Okay.
Mm,
Okay, bye.
bye.